When South Africans started talking about a negotiated settlement for a democratic future, we had to figure out, what do we do with the past? And there were three options. One is Nuremberg type trials, like Germany, which had the disadvantage of not being good for reconciliation at that heated moment, that it might not have been accepted by the National Party establishment, and that it wouldn't work properly, that people would just destroy documentation, and that there wouldn't be the capacity to actually prosecute people. Or blanket amnesty, do nothing. And I think the ANC, the National Party was quite keen on that, to say, well, let's just give everybody amnesty. In fact, they asked for that, and it was a bureaucratic bungling that happened that they didn't get it. But that's what they aimed at. And the third was a kind of a way of handling the past without damaging the political process. A way of not forgetting everything, but not putting people in jail for the rest of their lives. And that was the Truth Commission. And it served its role perfectly well, I think. People, the popular perception now is that the Truth Commission was a flop. You ask people around, they say, well, where's the reconciliation? I mean, look at us. Well, I want to remind them of what we looked like in 1989, and then they will see the reconciliation, the way we South Africans treat each other, on the factory floor, in the offices, in the suburbs, in sports stadiums. It's with respect. The relationships between groups and ethnic groups and races in this country are among the healthiest of any diverse society on this planet. And maybe it's a compliment to us that we think it's still bad because our standards are high. But it is really, we're really doing well on that front. I think if we didn't have the Truth Commission, we wouldn't be where we are now. I'm fairly convinced of that. It did give the satisfaction to black South Africans that their history would be acknowledged, that their stories would be listened to. Before that, people who were tortured or had a husband or a child killed, the official version was, well, you're a communist, you're a terrorist, or you're lying. And now, especially with the cameras of the national broadcaster and the microphones of national radio there, people could get on a stage and share their stories, and share their pain with the nation and be honored for it, be recognized for it. That was massive. And I saw that firsthand hundreds and hundreds of times over 3 years, where I met people beforehand because I had to coach them. Don't fear the cameras. It's your camera. I'm not going to zoom in when you start crying. I'm going to zoom out. But you want to talk to you want to talk to your village, your people, the rest of the nation. That's what these cameras are for. So I had this kind of relationship with many of the victims and people who were giving testimony. And the relief among the vast majority of them, just to get this out. And then wait, and on Sunday night, I'm actually going to see, and I get my family together, my congregation together, and we sit there and we watch my story being told, because my story is the story of thousands of others also, who didn't make it to the Truth Commission public hearings. That was massive. It did, I think, pull the sting of, in terms of the black community, it pulled the sting of most of the anger of that violent, physical violence of apartheid. However, it was a flawed process. It's because it was part of a deal, of a political deal, it dealt only with gross violations of human rights. Very properly explained what they were. Between 1960 and 1994. And I think that was important. The person-to-person violence, torture, kidnapping, assault, murder. But it's not the story of apartheid. The damage of apartheid was not in terms of how many people died, because people outside of the country are surprised to find out that actually few people were killed by apartheid. It was not a final solution kind of process. People were not put up against walls and shot in their hundreds. Not at all. Not at all. It was much worse. It was the enslaving of people's minds. It was telling them over generations that you are inferior, you are stupid. Black is half human, white is superior, European is the standard, and you will never make it. This is not your country. Go and live in your homeland. Here's a pass that you have to carry. And a child of 16, if you're a grandfather of 80, a white child of 16 can sign your pass and give you permission to walk around in your own homeland. The forced removals of living for generations and generations in one place, and then white official comes and he says, get the hell out of here and go into some godforsaken place. That was the damage of apartheid. On the white side, it was a very unpopular process. But it, in hindsight, is the main reason why we don't have apartheid denialism in the society. We have Holocaust denialism. We have all kinds, after any such big event, any genocide or big event like this in the world, the history of the last 100 years, there's a tendency afterwards to go into denial by the perpetrating group. That did not happen and is not happening in South Africa. Because white South Africans were forced morning, noon and night to watch on television and listen on radio and see in the newspapers men who looked like me and carried my name standing there and saying, I please want to have amnesty because I tortured these guys and those were the circumstances, and then I said this and I killed those people, and then those people he tortured would come to the Truth Commission and my cameras would be on them and they would say, this is what this man did to me. And it was reality television that was never seen before and will never be seen again. It was extremely powerful because it was genuine human drama, and unspeakable stuff that was done was shown to the nation. So white South Africans couldn't afterwards say, well, no, it didn't happen, because they know the whole world saw it, and they saw it, and black South Africans, we saw it together. So that was an extremely important event, to realize once and for all, if you didn't before, how evil apartheid really was, and with the pain that it caused, and the resentment that it caused, because you needed white South Africans to carry that with them, because when the Truth Commission was over in '99, it wasn't going to just be a Sunday school picnic. They needed to carry that knowledge, that the resentments, this is what the resentment was about, and it will manifest itself, and I think it's worked very well in that way.